Hello, champions. Coach Tina here. I'm back home and ready to go. And I just wanted to say, when times get tough, go get a hat. Yes. Isn't that a saying? No, it's probably not. But this is the hat that I got from Platinum Partners and joining up. It still has the little tag on it there. Not super comfortable wearing hats, but isn't it snazzy? The nice one for sure. Um, yes, I just got back from finance. Finance was in Sun Valley. I shared with you a little bit on Monday. It just it seems like I did my live when I was there. I'm pretty sure I did, but that seemed like that long ago, and that was a week. So crazy. Now, some of you might be saying, what is finance? What is Tina talking about? Well, Tony has a series of events that he does. And most of us are familiar with Date with Destiny and UPW, which is Unleash the Power Within. He also does life and wealth mastery. So if you've been exposed to those, you know that they're great times. Well, he also has his platinum partners, and they do finance in the winter and then followed by a couple of other really cool events. And so I just went to his finance event, and it was in Sun Valley, Idaho. He likes to do that as a symbol of winter, right? Winter is coming, and we need to be prepared for winter because winter is when basically the best opportunities come out. And so we had snow, beautiful weather as well. And we got to go up and ski. They had ski instructors for us. So I hadn't skied since I was 16 before we went to Whistler a couple years ago when Chris did finance. So exciting, right? Like it's hard to imagine that I am skiing, but I actually had the thought. I did the every other day plan. So 3 times I went skiing in the days that we were there. And at, as we got to the end, I was like, you know what? I think Chris and I should go skiing together. We should plan a weekend where we get to go and just ski and enjoy it because we only had a couple hours of skiing each day. So I thought that was pretty fun. It was an amazing event. They brought in, I believe Tony said 23 speakers. So in the 5 days, which one day we had 15 of those speakers, it was pretty intense, all based on where the economy is right now, what's happening in the world. There was one speaker who talked on geopolitical issues. I honestly learned more from him about history than I have my entire life. And that was in less than an hour segment. So, wow, talk about fire hose, right? It was pretty crazy. Um, Now, little share about vulnerability. You guys know me well enough to know that I put it all out there for you. So I have joined finance and the whole platinum partner year as an act of faith. I don't actually know how it's all going to work. I just know that I got to the point where I was like, it's either now or probably will not happen. And I don't want that to be the thing. And I'm really glad that I did because I do feel like I've got some nuggets that are going to be very, very helpful. And, potentially they'll pay for Platt. So maybe it won't happen this year, but over time, that's where I will definitely be focusing. So interesting story though. At the end of the event, I was waiting for the shuttle to the airport on the next day and struck up a conversation with a woman that I hadn't met at the event. And I said something about being uncertain how I was going to pay for the rest of my year. And she looked at me and she said, I'm going through the same thing. I don't know how I'm going to do it either. And so, how great to have somebody right at the end that we were both feeling that angst and yet the excitement of how it feels. Like Tony says, the quality of your life is the amount of uncertainty that you can take on. So take it on some uncertainty, you guys, and we're going to see where it leads. And you guys get to learn about it as we go through things in our group here. So, are you asking yourself these days, where is the money going to come from for things that you're buying into? I'm curious because sometimes we just have to take that leap. And today we're going to be talking about something near and dear to my heart. So before we start, you may not know me. I am Coach Tina, and I am the founder of the Empowering Champions community. I started this group in February of 2021. So we are officially in our 5th year of operations. How fun is that? Love that you're watching. And if you are here, please go ahead and comment #live. Would love to give you a shout out. Would love to say hi. I also would love to wipe my nose. So let me do that grossly on the video here. I got a little bit of a sniffle. I'm not going to let it go any further than that. So we're good. So let's talk about today's session. Today we are talking about calming the financial seas. Obviously, that's a play on words. The ocean, right? The sea has such beautiful qualities. It has the tide and the waves that always are happening, but sometimes there's a high tide and sometimes there's a low tide. And our finances are kind of like that as well, right? They ebb and they flow. They're expansive. The ocean is the biggest part of our world, right? And finance kind of feels like that, especially if you're around millionaires and billionaires. I mean, there were people talking about their billion-dollar companies, and it was just kind of like, wow, hard to imagine that I was in the company of people that were doing so well. But it also was inspiring and exciting and reminded me that I don't need a ton, but I definitely can be working towards having more. So let's talk about the financial C's. Obviously, C's is with the letter C, and I have a few. I've only picked 4. There were actually quite a few more that I could have gone with, but we're going to stay simple today, if you will. So the first one is clarity. In order to get calm in your financial ecosystem, you really need to know the truth about your numbers, right? You need to know your balances. You need to know the reality of what you're operating with, not to limit yourself, but to calm yourself down about the truth. I get myself what I have found to be the most calming thing for me is to get my account balances. I try to do it every week. Not every week, definitely not every week. I try to do it every month. I want to do it every week. And what that does is I'll start to notice a spin up of fear. And then I look at the numbers and I go, oh, it's not as bad as I think it is. Okay. But something about my upbringing, my pattern of worry will get me alarming on things that don't necessarily need to be an issue. And so that's what clarity is about. When you know your truth, you can relax. It might be that you have to do something about it, but it's not horrific. So, and maybe you're thinking, but my situation is horrific. Then at least you know the truth, right? Like when we stare fear in the face, that lets fear know who's in charge, right? You can't let fear control you. You can't let fear take over. And that said, we're going to go with the second C, which is compassion. Okay. We have all made mistakes financially. Okay. We've all made mistakes for sure. But I bet you there aren't too many people that haven't made financial mistakes. My roommate at finance was telling me about her $30 million mistake. If I had made a $30 million mistake, I don't know how I would have held things together, right? But to her, that was a minimal amount, right? So it's all perspective. It's all, there's a word I'm looking for. It's all related to what's going on in your world. You know, to you, $3 might be a big deal. But let's think about our past decisions with a releasing that what's done is done, right? And any shame that you have around that, you need to be compassionate. Like if somebody told you they made a mistake, would you just like be like, you're an idiot? I don't know. Maybe sometimes we would, but guess what? That's not the compassionate stance. If it was your child, if it was a loved one, you're going to look at it differently with them. You're going to be nice to them, right? And yet when we make mistakes, we are the worst enemy. So what you want to do is have compassion for yourself, for where you are right now, for what's happened in the past, and even looking forward, right? Like I could be really hard on myself right now. Like I've done something that is risky, and would it help me if I just like every morning get in the mirror and be like, you suck, you're doing things wrong? Like that's not going to motivate me to make the money to cover everything, right? So be as compassionate to yourself as you would be to anybody in the same situation. The third C of our financial C's is consistency. Here's the deal. And even Tony talks about this. I mean, there was very little in finance, and there was lots of things we could do. But the most important concept that Tony wanted to get across is if you know your numbers and you know what financial, there's 4 levels of finance. And I'm not honing in on what all 4 of them are right now, but he wants you to just be okay with the first level of finance. And it's not freedom. The third one is freedom. The second one is vitality. The fourth one is, I guess there's actually 5. The fifth one is absolute financial freedom. So the fourth one is financial freedom. So first and third, I have forgotten. This is not a very good presentation on it. If you want to see it in presentation form with PowerPoints and so on, I have something I'll share with you by the end of this. But what's important to know right now is Tony says you chip away little by little, getting to the point where without having to work, you have enough in your cash machine. This is the amount of money that you need to make that will allow you to earn money off of that chunk of change. And he knows, he said there were people there with multiple net worth in the negatives. And then there were people that had the higher net worths. So what he was commenting on is you have to start and you have to put a little bit away. And by putting a little bit away, you will eventually get to where you're going, especially if you have a target. And so he had us create our target numbers. It's really simple to do, you guys. And the key behind it is consistency. It's that small steps, the actions that you do repeatedly, like just taking a percentage out of any income that you get and putting it aside, letting that earn money, letting it compound until you have everything in there, not taking risks on it, but just consistently chipping away at the monster that you might perceive as a debt load or an issue that you can't resolve. It will get resolved eventually. Everything is a season. And you might be in a low season right now. You might be in a high season. You need to be aware of all the seasons and be prepared for everything, right? And the last one is courage. This is trusting that it's all going to work out, right? Like I trust in God. He's going to work it out. He's going to figure it out for me. I don't have to know how. I can trust God with the unknown. So which of the 4 C's do you feel that you need most right now? You might need all of them. We probably all do on different levels, but there's one that's crying out to you. And what I will say is whether you pick one or chip away at all 4, the point of it is to create some calm, right? And each one of them has an element that will reduce the stress load on your nervous system. Like, isn't that crazy? finances are so powerful. They're an external thing, but we internalize it to the extent that we feel sick about our finances. We feel like we're going to throw up about something. Like you make a big purchase and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. And some people will actually feel sick to their stomach regarding finances. The bills come in and you avoid them because you just are frozen in your ability. That's all nervous system stuff, you guys. So what you want to do is just like when Peter tried to walk on water, right? As soon as he noticed what he was doing, he started to sink. And Jesus said, ye of little faith, right? We have to have that total confidence behind us, even without the control, even though we don't know. We have to acknowledge the situation, but not panic. And I can just honestly tell you that that is what will get you through. That's what's going to get me through this next stage. And yeah, it might be a little uncomfortable. It might require me to work a little bit harder than I've been working. It might mean that I have to do things I haven't done before. I'm going to have to push myself. I'm going to have to take advice from people I haven't met yet, right? Like it's going to be an interesting cycle for me. But as many of you know, I have a new tool that lights me up just to think about it, and that is breathwork. And you might be wondering, how in the heck is your financial issues going to get solved with breathwork? Well, so much of what we experience in this life is about our nervous system reacting. And so when breathwork allows me to calm my mind and focus on nothing, actually, what happens is there's an allowing of release. And so any financial fears that I have embodied, that I have brought into my world, that I haven't been able to get out of me, can be released through breath work. And instead, I can bring in abundance and the manifesting that I've been doing. It's been pretty sweet, you guys. And I have great faith in it that this process is going to be all that I've imagined. So if you would like to know more information on my breathwork, I am looking for 5 individuals to do test sessions with so I can work out issues with Zoom and sound and getting you all the materials and so on. So if you would like to do that, put breathwork into the chat and we will reach out to you and schedule some time. If you are more interested in the whole, what did Tina learn at finance? Well, next week, I'm going to be doing a masterclass that I would love to invite you to. It falls into this whole theme of things that we are doing right now. As you know, we are doing the rewrite your script. And rewrite the script is the theme for the year. And what is happening in the year is that we are writing a new chapter. We are trying different things. We are not believing that what we have going on is all that there is in life, that there is more, and we have control in that process by deciding what we want and going after it. And so rewriting the script is all year long theme. And then this month's theme is the manifesting and other wealth wonders. And that is our theme for the month. We have one more week. I can see I crossed my hands for the which one's which. I know you guys will get it. Manifesting is what has gotten me into all of this. I believe it's so powerful and so perfect for the times that we're in right now. And wealth wonders, you know, wealth is not just about money. And that's what's wondrous about it, is that the richness that we have, the quality of our life, That's what really makes us happy. Now, we need money, we need resources to be able to serve at the level that we want to serve at, because we can give more if we have more, right? But it all starts with having something to get going with. And so, as we explore this topic, as we look at different things, as we are going to be looking at for sure next week in the masterclass, we want to apply these lessons so that not only do we have the calm in our financial world, but we have that sense of calm in every aspect of our life. So I'm excited to hear from you. Find out if you want information on the VIP, put hashtag VIP as well, and we'll get you going on that for next week's masterclass. Okay. You guys rock. I'm excited to be home. I'm excited to share with you all of this fun information that I'll be learning this year. Guess what? At the event, they announce where we get to go to the next event. And it is a place I have dreamt about for so long, and that's going to Thailand. I can't wait. It's early June, and it's going to be a blast. I can't, and I'm going to have all of the money manifested and in my account by the time we get there. All right, you guys, I hope you have a truly blessed rest of the week. Remember, whatever your February goals are, you have 2 weeks to complete them. So get on it halfway through the month. I hope you had a fantastic Valentine's Day and that you are loving life and that you're enjoying President's Day weekend if you're in the United States. Have a blessed day, you guys.